You just finished your taxes. You opened TurboTax 3 weeks ago. You clicked the orange button that said Start for Free. You uploaded your W-2. You answered the questions about side gigs, home ownership, kids. You spent an hour on it, maybe longer. You got to the last screen, and then right before the File button, the price appeared, $89 or $129, or for a lot of you this year, $179. You stared at it. You paid it. You closed the tab. And you told yourself that's just how taxes work. It isn't. And in the next 9 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly who made sure you'd never find out. Here's the part they don't want you to think about. The IRS already has your W-2. Your employer sent it to them. The IRS already has your 1099s, your mortgage interest, your student loan interest, your brokerage statements. Every number you just spent an hour typing into TurboTax, the IRS had before you sat down. In most wealthy countries, this is the end of the story. The government sends you a pre-filled return. You look at it. If it's right, you sign it. It takes 10 minutes and it costs nothing. Japan does this. Germany does this. The UK, Sweden, Spain, Estonia, even Mexico have versions of this. The United States is one of the only developed countries on earth where filing your own taxes is a multi-billion-dollar private industry. And that isn't an accident. That is a product, built on purpose, by one company, over 25 years. That company is called Intuit, and this is how they did it. In 1998, Intuit hired a man named Bernie McKay, a former Carter administration aide who had spent years running lobbying for AT&T. His job title was Vice President of Corporate Affairs. His actual job was to make sure the IRS never built a free filing system, because Intuit's executives understood something very clearly. The second the government offered a free, pre-filled return, TurboTax stopped being a product anybody needed. According to an internal Intuit presentation later obtained by ProPublica, the company's own strategy document described its mission as, quote, stoking innovation in Silicon Valley while stifling it in Washington. That's not a critic's description. That's Intuit describing itself. In 2002, the George W. Bush administration announced a plan to let Americans file taxes online directly with the IRS for free. Intuit's lobbyists went to work on Capitol Hill. Within weeks, Republican lawmakers, led by the congressman whose district contained Intuit's headquarters, were writing letters to the White House saying the government shouldn't compete with the private sector. By the end of that year, they had killed the Bush plan and replaced it with a compromise of their own design. It was called the Free File Alliance. Here's how it worked. The tax prep companies agreed to offer free versions of their software to lower-income Americans. In exchange, the IRS signed a binding agreement not to build its own free filing system. The government, by contract, agreed not to compete with TurboTax. For almost 20 years. If that sounds like a win for taxpayers, wait, because this is where it gets worse. Intuit built the free version. They had to. It was in the contract. But they made it almost impossible to find. They gave the free product a different name from the paid product to create maximum confusion. They called one TurboTax Free Edition, which was actually the paid product with the word free in the name. They called the actual free version TurboTax Freedom Edition, and they buried it. In 2019, ProPublica discovered that Intuit had added lines of code to the Freedom Edition's website, two commands called noindex and nofolo, which told Google to pretend the page didn't exist. If you searched for TurboTax Free, Google sent you to the paid product. The actual free version was invisible. According to a Treasury Inspector General audit in a single year, more than 14 million Americans paid TurboTax for a return they were legally entitled to file for free. 70% of taxpayers qualified. Fewer than 3% actually used it. The product was working exactly as designed. In 2022, a coalition of all 50 state attorneys general came for Intuit. They won. Intuit was forced to pay $141 million for deceiving low-income customers. Victims got checks. The average check was about $30. Meanwhile, Intuit's revenue that year was over $14 billion. The settlement cost 1% of 1 year's revenue. The next year, Intuit spent $3.8 million on federal lobbying. A company record. Public disclosures show they have now spent more than $47 million total lobbying Washington to protect this exact business model. Intuit has spent over $47 million lobbying to prevent the IRS from offering free tax filing. In a single audited year, 14 million eligible Americans paid them anyway. That works out to roughly $3 in lobbying for every American they tricked into paying. The greatest return on investment in modern corporate history. You'd think the story ends there. It doesn't. Because in 2024, the IRS actually did what Intuit had spent 2 decades preventing. They built it. It was called Direct File, a free, government-run online tax filing system. The pilot launched in 12 states. Taxpayers reported a 90% satisfaction rate. 86% said the experience increased their trust in the government, which is a sentence almost nobody has ever said about the IRS. In 2025, it expanded to 25 states and 30 million eligible Americans. Every metric was green, so of course it had to die. In its 2024 financial filings, Intuit listed Direct File by name as a specific risk to investors. Quote, could have material and adverse revenue implications. They went back to the lobbying machine. Millions more spent. New contracts signed with firms whose only job was to meet with the Doge caucus, the group of lawmakers aligned with Elon Musk's government efficiency effort. In March 2025, Doge ordered mass layoffs at the IRS. The team that built Direct File was dismantled. On November 3, 2025, the IRS sent an email to the 25 participating states. 6 words mattered. Quote, Direct File will not be available in filing season 2026. It was over. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent explained it in a press conference 2 days later. Quote, we think the private sector can do a better job. The private sector, meaning Intuit. This is the filing season you just finished. This is why the free option you heard about on the news wasn't there when you went to file. Intuit spent 27 years and almost $50 million making sure of it. And they won. Here's what you can actually do. Not next year. Right now. Because even though Direct File is gone, free filing is not. You just have to know where to look. First, a company called FreeTaxUSA. Federal filing is free for every income level, every form. State returns are about $15. No upsells. It is what TurboTax pretends to be. Second, Cash App taxes. Federal and state both completely free for almost every situation. Third, the IRS Free File program itself still exists. If your income was under roughly $84,000 in 2025, you qualify for free guided software through 8 partner companies. You have to access it through IRS.gov/freefile. Not Google, not the company's site. The IRS directly. And one last thing. If you filed with TurboTax this year and your income qualified you for any free option, call Intuit and request a refund. Reference the 2022 multistate settlement. They have issued refunds to people who pushed. It's your money. Asking for it back is the least they owe you. Here's the thesis that matters. TurboTax is not a tax software company. It's a lobbying operation that happens to sell tax software. Its primary product is not the software. Its primary product is your confusion. The confusion is what makes the software necessary. The lobbying is what keeps the confusion in place. Every other wealthy country solved this problem decades ago. In America, one company spent $50 million making sure we never do, and every April you pay the bill. If this changed how you think about tax season, hit that like button. It helps more people see this. And subscribe to Sysplain because every week we pull back the curtain on another system that was designed to work against you. I'll see you in the next one.